Hello everyone!
This is not usually the type of video I'd be making, but Yuroki Hakugaisha, a former voice actor for my object show,
Kinda caused a situation a few weeks ago which ended up with him leaking the script for episode 1 and slandering my name.
Now, normally if something like this happened, I'd probably just ignore it, especially considering the situation that caused it, which I'll be talking about, was extremely stupid. But he went out of his way to leak our script, and then took it even further by making himself look like the victim to try and make me look like a monster, and personally, I don't like that. So me and Finis, who was a part of the little situation, and is also one of the mods for the Object Extermination Discord server, helped me create a little document, explaining absolutely everything that happened. I probably won't be reading absolutely everything we wrote, but the full doc will be in the description. I'll just be going over key topics in this video. Me and Finis made sure to include screenshots of absolutely everything that was said, so not a single bit of info regarding the situation will be missing. Enough of that though. Let me begin with the first topic. I'll make this part short, but basically what happened was, Yuro and one of our other voice actors, Juno, were both talking about Delta. That's when Yuro referred to Kreese with he/him pronouns, which I then jokingly corrected by sending an image which shows 71 citations of Kreese having confirmed they/them pronouns. Yuro then, instead of kind of fixing their silly little mistake, then decided to say, IDC Kreese is a guy, and then calls Kreese a classic quiet boy. And then from there, it escalated, and Yuro ended up getting fired. Pathetic really, but I digress. Okay, so for the start of the argument, I actually wasn't awake. By the time Yuro had replied to my image, I was in a deep slumber, so for the start of the argument, it was mostly Juno and Glom arguing with Yuro. So my opinion on all of this part won't be much, but I'll try to show what Finis had said about it. After the little starting part I've already talked about, Finis ended up replying to what Yuro said about Kreese being a guy, and said, isn't, alongside replying to the thing about Frisk and Kara apparently being girly, which like, you can't really look at these fat little babies and tell me they look like girls. Frisk is literally like the peak of Ant. I've been a part of the Undertale and Deltarune fandoms for years, and am fully aware people for some reason view Frisk and Kara as girls. They have been for years. But in my opinion, Finis is completely right with what she's saying. They don't, in fact, scream female. Here Yuro tries to say that apparently because of their shoulder-length hair and rosy cheeks, that means Frisk and Kara are girly, which like, IDK man, that's kinda odd to say. I mean Kreese literally has the same hair, if not longer. So would that mean Kreese is a girl too? If longer hair equals girl to you, then that means Kreese must be a girl, right? The things Yuro says about Kreese appearance to say that they're a guy is kinda dumb, since they used the excuse of being taller and older to say they're a guy. Which yeah, I get. Guys are usually taller than girls, but the thing is, Kreese is shorter than the majority of the female characters in Deltarune. Kreese is short as hell, and apart from that, they just look like a taller Kara with Frisk's skin color? I also don't even get what they mean by treated as a guy, since they just aren't really. I don't even get what Yuro means by that, but as far as I'm aware, Kreese is treated pretty androgynous to me. I think this was pretty weird for Yuro to say. He's implying girls can't be quiet or creepy or stinky. I don't really know why you'd want to be stinky, but he says it like it's a thing only guys can be, which IDK. It's a bit weird. And also, Kreese isn't canonically stinky as far as I know. I have no clue where he got that from. Kreese literally uses apple shampoo. There's more examples of Kreese being clean than smelling bad. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but the things Hei's saying about these stereotypes kinda just rubbed me the wrong way. But the funniest thing here is that he says Toby mostly refers to Kreese as a guy, which you know, is the biggest lie ever. Kreese has never been referred to as a guy by Toby or a 9Y character in Deltarune. In every newsletter, every tweet, every chapter, Kreese is always referred to as they, them, and has never once been called he or him or as a boy. This is more of Euroscope. Finis brought up Yuro's sketch-ass profile picture in the last image, so of course he points that out. I don't have much to say about this, it's just him calling people crazy for not misgendering a character. Feel free to pause and read what Finis has been saying and stuff. Or just go read the actual doc. I'm gonna start skipping a few screenshots because the video will be hours long if I comment on everything. All the screenshots will be in the doc in the description for anyone who's interested to read. But this is more of Yuro claiming a genderless character has a gender. He literally knows and points out Kreese has no gender, but then proceeds to say, Kreese has a gender. You make no sense, Yuro. Finis makes a very good point about this, so I advise you, pause and read it since it makes sense. I viewed this as Yuro just giving up on his homophobic opinion, cause he realized Finis and Juno were right. And he gave in, just put his opinion down to Kreese is a guy with they/them pronouns, which still isn't really right, but, you know, it's progression. Yuro is woke now! This was frying me, I have no clue what was happening here. This was a good point from Juno. And Yuro just shuts the question down. Doesn't answer it. And then claims that he isn't transphobic. Because he has trans friends. That's like saying you aren't racist cause you have black friends? Stupid ass argument. I fully believe this guy has some sort of internalized transphobia/homophobia. Long story short, but during this part of the argument, it ended up with Yuro getting timed out for, I think it was a week. He did in fact ask to get timed out, which I don't really know why he did that, but Finis did it and then Yuro decided to move into the public server and start ranting about it in there. And about freedom of speech, even though he asked to be timed out. I'm not gonna talk about the public server stuff since it was kinda irrelevant and it was just Yuro crying about something he asked for. Finis ended up removing Yuro's timeout in our private staff server, and the argument continued in there. Made it back into the server only to get timed out again, which was pretty funny. Juno asks a very good question, but then Yuro proceeds to respond with the most confusing, useless, and random answer I think he could have ever given. It was just absolutely not relevant to what Juno asked. I was quite disappointed reading this. I wished he responded with something that made sense. It was a really good question. This screenshot alone just proves how uneducated Yuro is about this topic. Non-binary, but more on the representation of the male side than the female side. Bro, just say mask, non-binary. Also, can I say Juno and Finis were on non-stop banger opinions and questions, holy moly. Wish I thought of this stuff to say and ask him. Yuro states, there's no evidence of Kreese being non-binary. However, throughout the whole game, and especially in Chapter 5, Kreese wears both masculine presenting and feminine presenting clothes. It's made such an obvious force thing that Kreese wears both of these styles. Like bro, it's so hard to miss it. Right there, in front of your face, when you play the game. Not only that, but there's 71 examples of Kreese being called they/them in official Deltarune content, which Yuro of course ignores. If I was awake during this point, I would have crashed out so hard. I'll say Yuro is very good at ragabait, cause I would have lost it. He's talking about wanting proof, and claiming Finis isn't sending proof, even though she has been sending plenty proof. He was just choosing to ignore it, and claiming the wiki isn't a good source, even though the one image Finis sent from the wiki was the wiki linking direct official sources, most of which are linked to Toby Fox himself. The rest of this was just Yuro repeating what he's already said, claiming the wiki isn't a good source, and that Finis had shown no proof, and it was just a back and forth over and over again. And honestly, if I was awake during this, I probably would have banned him cause this is elite tier rage bait. This part of the argument is when I finally wake up. When I woke up, I had a few DMs from Finis and other people working on the show telling me about the whole thing. And to be honest, yeah, I probably should have just let the situation die since no one was even talking about it anymore. But it really pissed me off reading it all, so I decided to say something. And I'm glad I did, because if I didn't, I would have never realized how much of an actual freak Yuro is if this never happened. I got online and said to just not talk about that weird-ass homophobic-ass topic again. Then he claims sorry for having an opinion even though his opinion is offensive as hell, and that really pissed me off, so the whole thing ramped up from there. This is more so just petty stuff about what is in Deltarune. This guy had only played like Chapter 1, but in multiple of these screenshots he states his headcanon of Kreese being a typical teenage boy, presenting mask and not showering. I could go into a rant about how most of this just isn't true, but I digress. Also, yes, I am just saying what I wrote in the doc. I don't care. I don't want to rewrite new stuff for the video. I got a bit mad here, to be honest. Calling him mental was probably a bit too far, but it's kinda insane how he was trying to talk about a character who he knows almost nothing about, considering he had only played Chapter 1 at this point in time from what I know. This is him basically completely ignoring what I said about how ignoring representation is just homophobic, and it isn't stupid considering games like Deltarune and other franchises that have queer characters are sometimes the only places where queer people can be shown in a positive light. He obviously doesn't care about that though, and his YouTube posts make that even more clear, but I'll get into that later.
This part had me a bit confused, to be fair. He never really answered my question properly, and he just referred to what he said in a past message.
Because he realized he wasn't gonna win the argument or something. We're finally at the part everyone's been waiting for. This is where I ban Yuro. I got very angry at this point. I told him to leave it cause it was getting way too stupid for my liking and I'd rather not lose a voice actor over it.
Then there was like a good 30-second pause, and he decided to get his last tiny little punch in, so I in turn
banned him and kicked him off the show. But instead of just accepting that, he then proceeded to say he'll leak the script, which he ended up doing, and then raiding my DMs, acting like the victim and stuff, trying to scare me or whatever. I think it's insane how he was trying to play the victim over this, and the fact he felt the need to leak the script too, just because he was losing a petty argument. Jesus Christ, Yuro, please grow up. Aren't you meant to be 18 years old or something?
Yeah, so basically everything that went down in our DMs was mostly him just threatening me for whatever reason, which is kind of funny considering on his YouTube.
Posty actually said we were the ones threatening him in Discord DMs, which just isn't true.
Unless another one of the team members deemed him without me knowing and told him to die or something.
Had a bit of a chuckle when he said this, honestly. Trying his best to scare me when we were all just kinda laughing about the situation in the staff server because this guy just sucks, and he was giving off vibes of the person who tries to be the main character villain despite no one really giving a fuck and it just being a bit cringe. Still weird to just come and threaten me in my DMs though. Hypocritical ass statement at the top from him. I don't want arguments or drama to happen. Despite the fact he got banned because he couldn't keep his mouth shut, and then proceeded to leak our script like a petty little baby. This guy is a grown adult, by the way. I spelt the game's name wrong there, which was a bit embarrassing honestly, but I still stand by my point. The game's gross, I've played it, and it's gross. I'd see what anyone has to say about it, and I will assume if you like it, you like incest. Bold claim, I don't care. Rancid ass game. More threats from our main character over here. This is also now the second time I had asked him to stop DMing me, which he flat out ignores. Pretty ironic. Considering he was saying we were harassing him. I make fun of him because he's literally just a joke. It's still very hard to take him seriously. A lot to unpack here. Firstly, we didn't come off as rude at the start. The very start of the situation started with me sending the screenshot of the wiki, where it shows the 71 citations of Kreese using they, them, and then I went to sleep. Intended as a joke, which he then proceeded to say, IDC Kreese is a guy. Which to me is pretty rudely ignoring a character's canon gender, but you know, we were the disrespectful ones who started it, of course. He's right about me starting it up again. That's true, but keep in mind, it's my server, my project. He works for me, in my opinion. I have the right to question one of my voice actors about a homophobic ass opinion they have, considering the fact he works for me. Then, he's like, I just don't get how you're fine with disrespecting people like that, boo-boo chat. Which is pretty ironic, again, since he was actively disrespecting non-binary people with that whole argument. Dum. Then it's just a ton of guilt tripping or whatever. Funny stuff. More threats after I ask him for what? A third time? To get out of my DMs. Looks like harassment to me, guys. After his weak threats, I just blocked him since I honestly wasn't even really reading what he was saying since I didn't want to talk to him. I was too busy making fun of him and how pathetic he is. Yeah, I'll be honest. This part was 100% petty from me. I wanted to make him angry, so I unblocked him just to tell him to go ahead and leak the script because I don't care. And I still don't really care. Considering the video he made about it didn't even get over 50 views. Hell, making this document is bringing more attention to his dead-ass channel and my leaked script. So you're welcome, bro. Free engagement for us both. I love you.
Okay, so here is when Yuro went onto his YouTube and made a post detailing what happened, but really it just more so looked like him whining to his
for fans for attention because we fired him and he was trying everything in his power to make us look bad, even though he leaked our script over a thing which wasn't even meant to be that serious, and he was the one who caused his own problems by not dropping the subject after I told him to. So this whole post is basically just a huge sob story from him painting us in a bad light by twisting basically everything all. I'll try to explain and comment on everything he says here and why it's wrong, right, or just doesn't make sense. Calling me a definitely sweet person. Trying to make himself seem like the victim by making it seem like he's viewing me positively. Like he's a good, kind-hearted person, as if he wasn't just threatening me in my fucked up thing to do, really. Then instantly insults us, which is a bit hypocritical considering he just complimented us and the project. Rest of this is just what we've been talking about in this doc. He also said more than just Chris is a guy but Igno. OFC. He wouldn't say the whole thing that he actually said, since he wants to seem like a saint to his fans. In fact was not all, he said, but that's already been stated in earlier parts of this doc. He's saying we were insulting him, which is true, but he was also insulting us. He obviously doesn't mention this, however, because he wants to make it out like he's the poor little baby victim. Poor little Yuro can never do any wrong. He's just such a kawaii little 18-year-old baby. Me losing my mind is a bit of an overstatement. At least at the very start of the argument, since all I said was to not talk about BS like that, or I would ban them, and he was the one who continued it, since when I woke up and said that I didn't have the intention of arguing about it, since I knew I was right, so there was no point in even starting a discussion about it.
I said never to bring it up again, and he said sorry for having an opinion, trying to play the victim as if he wasn't just being blatantly ignorant of a gender identity.
It only turned into an argument, since he was just pissing me off with the BS he was saying. He says we were making stuff up about him, but his opinion, as he was calling it, was just literally homophobic, calling a character who has only been referred to with they, them pronouns and is heavily implied if not basically stated to be non-binary. A guy and using him is very much homophobic, transphobic, because you're just ignoring a character's already stated gender identity. Just because it's fictional does not mean it isn't harmful. Because if you can easily disregard a fictional character's gender, what's stopping you from doing the same to a real person? You clearly feel like it's fine to do so, and you clearly don't seem to care either. Incest thing I already talked about. We weren't making stuff up really. It was just what we saw from how you were acting. I thought you were all about freedom of speech and opinions, Yuro. What happened, little baby boo? I thought you liked those. Just cause you've dated one guy before, and have queer friends, does not mean you can't be homophobic. Basically, just the I have black friends so I'm not racist skew. I don't even want to get into how actually stupid it is to use that as a reasoning of not being homophobic. Hella ironic with the Harry Potter stuff, because if you're actively supporting and spending money on the Harry Potter franchise, I'm going to assume you're transphobic and love giving money to TERFs, since that's exactly what you're doing and is actually such a harmful thing. I can't believe you actually used this as an example for not being My jaw was on the floor when I read this. Yuro, if you see this, I beg of you to actually research about who they Roland is and what she actually does with the money she gets from Harry Potter. Please, because it is not good. Harry Potter is absolute trash anyways, which they did not want getting leaked. Yet the last thing I said to him was, I don't really gaff if he leaks it, since all it'd really do is give us attention and make HIM look bad for leaking a private script without permission. A really asshole thing to do just because you got fired, and it's the whole reason this doc is being written, but ICNO. Just not cool, really. IDK, why he thought leaking the script made him look cool. I was not apologizing for what I said, and I still won't. This guy's a homophobic piece of shit. I don't give a fuck about what he wants from me. And him threatening to leak the script? If I don't apologize? What an actual asshole, literally using the work I spent hours creating just so he can get what he wants. What a pathetic, weird, selfish thing to do. You actually have to be a lonely-ass manipulative loser to do something like that. All because he was actively misgendering a character and got fired for it. Jokes aside, this guy's a weirdo for holding the script over my head thinking he could just control me and force me to say sorry. I'd rather die than give in to some bullshit-ass blackmail like that. Using my passion project against me. I hope to God if anyone who is creating their own show ever gets this guy auditioning for a voice role to not accept him. Because he might just use your own project against you to get what he wants, because he's a literal man-child. The situation wasn't that deep, but he made it that deep by leaking our script because he lost and threw a tantrum. His actions are very telling to who he is as a person. Newsflash. Opinions can be wrong. This wasn't some sort of personal preference or anything. Your opinion was debating a character's already established gender identity and claiming it to be something which it wasn't. Which makes your opinion wrong. I cannot believe they didn't even realize what they did. Yuro, I can't believe you didn't realize what you did! You literally tried blackmailing me over this. And if you read this, don't even say you didn't, because the definition of blackmail is forcing someone to do something by threatening to reveal a secret or cause harm. You tried forcing me to apologize by threatening to leak the script. You hikey tried blackmailing me, man. I don't understand how you can't see how you were in the wrong. Even if you were right about literally everything else, you still tried blackmailing me, which is such a bad and weird thing to do. Excuse me while I copy him, but Anyone reading this? Please don't give him attention because he does not deserve it. He has a fan base of little followers who all clearly share the same twisted view as him. So I'd advise to just not interact with them at all, since this guy clearly isn't a very good person. Hell, he made this whole post for attention. He's an attention seeker. He wants people to take his side, cause he likes the attention clearly, making himself look like the victim despite being homophobic and attempting to blackmail me. He's got one thing right. It is pathetic. Yet he didn't drop it when I said to drop it, and he was the one who leaked the script. Sue? Also, I've already explained how it's more than just a fictional pixelated character's gender. But, of course he wouldn't understand that, since he can't think about things further than himself. Now that I've finished assessing his post, I will go ahead and admit that once I had realized he made a post about the whole situation, I showed it to our private staff servers since him leaking the script, even though we didn't take it very seriously, was a big thing, and we kinda did go into his comments and started trolling him and stuff. So him talking about us harassing him in the comments was partially true. He deleted most of our comments which were trolling alongside mine, so the only comments from us that I can get screenshots of are the ones from us that were pretending to be nice to him to make fun of him. I'll link the post so you can read them all if you want. Okay, so the funny thing is, the video of the script which Yuro uploaded to his YouTube channel actually isn't there anymore. Either he deleted it or it got taken down because of us reporting it. But either way, it is gone, which is very good for us. So, I guess this topic isn't important since I can't really talk about it. Me and Finis both wrote stuff to add at the end of this, so I'll include both of our final notes with text-to-speech, mine being first. I don't have much else to add apart from the fact that this whole situation was just insanely stupid. This whole argument, and then him blowing up and going crazy and leaking our script was just so pathetic and insane, and the fact he took it so personally is just childish. This document itself is just an insane thing that we decided to make, and it wouldn't have even been made if he didn't leak our script, since at the end of the day, he tried ruining our reputation and progress on the comic just because he was fired. Imagine if a famous voice actor managed to do that towards a big studio, just because he had an offensive viewpoint, and he got fired. Incredibly unprofessional, and it sets a very strong opinion on how Yuro handles criticism and not getting what he wants. The fact he felt like it was okay to leak our script even if it has been deleted now is insane, and it's crazy how he expects to get any future voice acting roles after this is actually mental. I highly advise any aspiring projects in need of voice actors to stay far, far away from Yuro, since he probably handled his response to this situation in the most unprofessional, childish, petty way it could have ever possibly been handled in, especially since it was over an argument about pronouns. Would not surprise me if he was to attempt to do things like this to other projects just because he doesn't get what he wants. Do not give this guy a platform. Go give your attention to aspiring voice actors who are actually worth your time and aren't blatantly homophobic. To Yuro, if you're watching this, genuinely, please make a response, because I really would like to know how you thought leaking our script was the right thing to do in any way possible. You've already made it clear that voice acting is a passion of yours and you're an aspiring voice actor desperate for any role you can get. So why leak our script? Yeah, you painted us as the villains, but why leak our script? Just because we were apparently in the wrong doesn't mean it makes it right to go ahead and ruin a passion project, and it sets a very strong opinion for people making shows, comics, or just anything. It makes people view you as untrustworthy. If you can so willingly leak a script and think it's okay and then to basically brag about it, what makes you think anyone will ever be able to trust you as a voice actor? Let alone any big projects that people actually know exist. You are so insanely lucky that neither Object Extermination or you are that popular, because if we were, then yeah, we'd be painted in a bad light. But so would you. You'd be known as the aspiring homophobic voice actor who leaks scripts, completely untrustworthy and unprofessional. Your whole account as a whole is unprofessional. A quick scroll through your YouTube post shows plenty of posts talking about how you want to have sex with fictional characters of a variety of ages and species. It's honestly sickening reading everything you have written. It's repulsive how you talk and act online, and to think you'd ever consider to have some sort of professionalism to get an actual voice acting role. It's embarrassing knowing you were going to be a part of Object Extermination. I should have done a more in-depth background check instead of trusting you because Glam invited you. Because if I had even just glanced at your YouTube for more than a second, you would have been banned instantly. This has to be one of the stupidest fucking docs ever made by anybody. Holy shit. An argument about a fictional character led to private stuff being leaked and misinformation being spread that is so dumb, dude. TS is so laughable. How do you even get to that point? The only reason I suggested writing this is because Yuro escalated the situation way more than it needed to be escalated. The guy got so mad over people, basically just trying to inform him of things. People may have gotten a little more mean about it over time. But that was caused by Yuro's own blatant ignorance. The main thing I'm mad about is the misinformation and lack of information that Yuro had shown off to his fanbase, and the fact he thought he had the right to leak something that had been worked on for ages just because of all of this. He tried to make Boo Boo look like an insanely terrible person because he got mad over an argument that he himself was dragging on as much as anybody else was. The only images he showed on his YouTube relating to the situation were cropped screenshots of his own, messages with no replies from anybody else that was included. Weird. If you can't control your emotions to the point where you're leaking personal things that you were asked not to share, and posting things on your socials trying to present other people in a bad light because the situation didn't turn out how you wanted it to, you should maybe work on that a little bit. You don't blackmail and threaten people out of rage. You don't really ever do that. Hi Yuro, if you're actually watching this. I don't think you were in the right at any point. You were in fact, assuming blackmailing and threatening the owner of a project to try and get an apology that you are not owed out of them isn't a very normal or nice thing to do actually. Insulting, said Ona, after being kicked from her project is also not all that normal considering you were warned about being kicked out more than once, yet ignored it anyways. The fact that you think you're the victim in this situation is crazy. Maybe just let yourself be informed. Accept the truth, and move on next time. Also don't post about what characters you want to bang on your public YouTube channel. Nobody wants to know about that, and it's really creepy anyways. Do better, I genuinely beg of you. Well, that's it. I have nothing more to add. This whole thing was just stupid. But thank you to Finis for helping create the doc. And thank you to anyone who watched this. Hopefully it's clear how Yuro was obviously so in the wrong. I also really hope Yuro sees this, and instead of getting mad, actually gets informed and realizes what he did was wrong. I still won't view him in a positive light at all. He's disgusting. But I hope he just understands. I don't really know how to end this, so bye!